Homeschool November update. Stick around to see how I barely pulled it off with some duct tape, a prayer, and pumpkin pie. Okay guys, welcome back. It's Nikki with That Homeschool Life, and we're jumping right into it. It is almost the end of November. I think December is on Tuesday and today is Sunday, and I got football going on over here, so this is going to be a fast video. Okay, so let me jump right into it. Okay, in September, I pulled a muscle in my shoulder, in my biceps, and then I had the nerve to have a pinched nerve in my neck on top of all of that. So from October until the last about two and a half weeks, I've been in pain, or I've been in toward the middle of November, the pain was loosening up, but I was still not at 100%. So that's important because half of September, all of October, and then half of November, I was a hot mess. I was in so much pain, I really couldn't teach. So because I'm prepared, I had a lot of things on autopilot. Plus, if you watch one of my videos, I talk about homeschooling multiple ages. I talk about how to let your kids work or play independently while you're occupied. Well, in this case, I was occupied in my bed. I didn't check a lot of work. I didn't do any teacher intensive stuff, with the curriculum. Our writing kind of sat there because I really needed to be in my right frame of mind to give feedback and guidance. And I didn't feel I was in the best shape to be doing that. So I guess I'm starting with writing. So for writing, I pulled out my old faithful Evan Moore 6 Traits Daily Writing. That was my saving grace for writing. So all of my kids, we put writing and rhetoric aside, which is our main curriculum. And then we went with 6 traits, and it's daily practice. So they worked on, I actually had them do 2 pages a day instead of 1 page a day, but they did that. They were actually glad to do that. And then for math, all of my kids take math classes online, which is a great way to have your kids work independently, to make sure your kids are getting the instruction that they need. So my kids, so my younger 2, they do Beast Academy online classes with a teacher, not to be confused with Beast Academy online. I have a couple of videos. If you check up here, I have a couple of reviews on Beast Academy online, but this is the actual online class with a teacher that meets twice a week. So they they know how to get on the computer, they know how to log in, all that stuff. So, and because I have a calendar. This is an old calendar I found, but just imagine this on my children's wall. And so everything is written. They know they need to write down what they have coming up for that week. So they don't have to ask me 50 million questions. So now the little one didn't really do it as much because you have to write with a marker, and all he had were the fat expo markers. He didn't have the skinny ones, and so I don't have enough room, can I just tell you? So I'm like, yeah, kid, whatever. But for writing, for math, my younger kids, all I had them do was just come tell me what they did, and just like give me an example problem, and then that was it. Now my oldest one, he has Mr. D Math, and he also has a tutor just to help him. Mr. D's not that challenging for him, so he has a tutor that can go deeper with him. He's like a Rhodes Scholar, and he's all into math. So I didn't even talk to my kid about math, my oldest one. I have no idea what he did. All I know is if the tutor doesn't send me a note about something, we're all good. So for math, we were fine. Okay, for reading. Now reading I struggled a little bit with, only because we do a lot of read alouds, and I was not in the mood to do a lot of read alouds. And when I have my kids do read alouds, if I'm not there to monitor it, one kid starts to read in funny voices and the other kids can't understand what he's saying, or the other kid is reading too fast because he's, oh, I already read this book, Mom. And then the youngest one, oh, he's reading too slow. So, no, I have to enunciate because we're doing Shakespeare. So I heard all of that. So the read alouds didn't go so well. So for So for reading, we didn't do as much. Now, I started reading to the younger two, and the older one, I just had him listen to the audiobook with me in the room while he read along. And that's a quick tip. If you're just worn out, you're really tired, or you just don't have, the stamina to read out to your kids, read aloud, especially if it's a lengthy book, put on an audiobook on YouTube. You don't have to spend money on Audible. Go on YouTube. If it's a classic, somebody's on there reading it, and have your child follow along. And in some cases, have your child read along with the person. Preferably get a teacher who's reading it, and that way they can practice their saying their words, enunciating, listening at the syntax and the tone and the voice of their book. So that's what we did for reading. And for reading, my oldest one, we are still reading Sun Tzu's Art of War, and we're doing the 13 precepts. And I got it. And that's taking quite a bit of time because you have to really break it down. You can go so many different ways with each one, with each precept. So we're just marinating in that. As far as like leisure reading, things like that, I have no idea what he's reading because quite honestly, I was in survival mode. So we are a reading household, so we'll rebound in life. The younger two, we have a theme for this semester, which is adventure reading. We did Treasure Island, Robinson Crusoe. There's another pirate one in there, is whatever. That's all we've done so far. So that's for reading. I didn't do any novel unit studies. I just didn't have it in me to be very coherent and to help them with all of that work. Okay, that's teacher intensive for me. Okay, so that's math, reading. We did writing, and then for science, if you check my one of my previous videos, I talked about homeschool changes, the mutiny. So my kids got together while I was rehabbing my shoulder and my neck, and they decided that they did not like their science textbook. We were using Real Science for Kids, the building blocks version, which covers multiple disciplines within 1 year. So biology, chemistry, physics, so on and so forth. So they wanted something more hands-on, more organic-like, and organic being my word. But because I had outsourced science for so long, and they had been going to science classes that have world-class labs and teachers who have PhDs in microbiology and things like that, they never cracked open a book. So everything was experiments and writing lab reports, at least for my oldest one, but just all hands-on. And so the textbooks, they weren't really messing with it. So we did it, we stuck it out, and I realized that everything that my children have really gravitated toward has been literature-based or story-based in nature. So their writing is story-based, their grammar is story-based, their math is story-based, and of course reading. So I didn't have anything for science that was just like using a lot of living books or stories. And although my oldest one did do the story of science in a class, but for all of them, I didn't have anything until I stumbled upon Guest Hollow, her science curriculum, which was on my laptop. And so I repurchased her curriculum. She does have a lot of free options on her website. I'll leave a link down below. And so it's the junior anatomy curriculum. Wait, not the junior one. I think it's a step above that. No, I think it's a junior, and I don't know. It's anatomy. And there are lots of books. There's probably at least about 20 books that you use. And so my kids really like that. We made, we did a quick little unit study. Sorry guys, my little yappy. It's always the small dogs that have the biggest bark. So we switched over and we did our first little mini unit study on cells and cell organs or organelles, and we made cakes. We made an animal cell cake and a plant cell cake, and it was really fun. So they like that, and we're gonna stay with that program, that formula. It really works. It's really easy to read the books and then just to throw in a quick little experiment for reinforcement. Okay, so that was science. What else did we do? So this, let's see, oh, Shakespeare. Oh, mon Dieu, Shakespeare was a disaster. Okay, but I'm starting strong in December, and I have the formula, so stay with me. So if you check out this video, I talk about how I was gonna get Shakespeare going. I was gonna use Ken Ludwig's book, How to Teach Shakespeare to Your Kids, all that good stuff. Well, the problem with being a type A OCD information junkie is you get too much information. So I really had too much. And then, you know, all of this was going on. So I was like, I got to focus on reading, writing, and math. But initially we started off with Shakespeare. I wasn't hurt. And the kids enjoyed it. I was able to bring in Stacey Lloyd's A Midsummer Night's Dream unit study. And I was actually surprised at how easily I could differentiate that for all of my kids. Stacey Lloyd, she is a seller on TPT, and her work is geared toward high schoolers, but I was able to adapt it to my youngest one. Instead of, you know, if there were like 10 questions on the page, I would just have my child choose the one that he wanted to do the most, or just do the even numbers or the odd numbers, do the top page or the bottom page, or just do eeny, meeny, miny, mo, you know, catch a sucker by his toe. And he was fine with that. And I did a little bit of pre-teaching just for the younger one, just going over literary elements. But that was a refresher for my oldest son, so it worked out well. But then this happened, and so what I did, we watched the movie Midsummer Night's Dream, we watched the play, and then of course we read 2 books. We read like a little baby version book, and then we read the real one. And I felt that was pretty much it. That for nice little intro. So for the memory work, like for the Ken Ludwig memorizing the lines, I only did it for probably the first act, maybe going into the second act, and then I just couldn't do it. It was, for me, it was just enough just to have them watch the different, all the different forms of Midsummer Night's Dream, and then compare the differences between the play, the movie, and the book. And to me, I'm like, okay, that's it. We'll come back stronger for the next play. All right, so that was Shakespeare. But the good thing out of that was that my son, my oldest son, who loved Puck, I picked him up from one of their hiking classes, and he got into the car, and I always asked, you know, either immediately or on the way home, you know, how'd it go, whatever. He was like, what fools these mortals be, Mom, because he was talking about some of the people, you know, we live in California and it's very restrictive, and he was talking about something that he had seen with a couple of people at the park. So anyway, but it was just very organic, and he just said it, and I was like, oh, we're good. So that was Shakespeare, okay? So Shakespeare, I guess you can put that under reading, right? So we did a little bit more reading. For history is the most intensive for me because we do a lot of talking, a lot of watching of documentaries, movies, videos, or shows, what have you, but I have to be really present to help guide the discussions, and I really couldn't do that. So all I know is that they watch everything ancient on every platform channel, and then we just talked about it, and that was history. So history, I'm actually putting that together myself. So and the theme of history is the warrior mindset in ancient Africa. So we go to the 5 regions in Africa: North, South, East, West, and Central, and I pull out warrior scenarios or warrior people or situations in each area. And you know, history, it was just a lot of documentaries and a lot of discussions. And actually, y'all, I kind of liked it. You know, I still sometimes struggle with having to have output results for my kids, meaning something tangible I can hold in my hands. And for math, I do need to have that, because that's a real skill set, and they need to use as many different senses as possible for retainment. But for history and reading, some of the social sciences, I find that I'm getting more out of my children when I treat them like we're peers, right? You know, what they say is valid. You know, we go deeper with it. I challenge them. I tell them to challenge me. And I really like that. So while I'm talking to them, to start to, not start to see, because I've seen it a bit, because we always talk about current events, but I was really starting to see some growth in their thought process, their critical thinking skills. And I think probably because that's all I can really focus on. So I was really hyper focused on listening while I was like this. Oh, but wait, I was on this side in the bed, like, oh, my shoulder, you know, some tea, some elderberry, some vitamin C, and the medication I had to take, and, you know, all fetal position. So I'm just eyes closed, like, I'm listening, baby, I'm listening, keep going. What do you think about that? Okay, well, why do you do this? Well, what happened here? Go deeper, tell me more. So I actually like that. I like that. And then to wrap it up, as far as like PE for my kids, they take 2 classes a week. They do a parkour class, and then they do a hiking slash kind of like Dungeons and Dragons, but battling. I don't know. They're out at the park having fun doing that. I've noticed that, you know, they're getting vitamin D, so they're looking nice and tanned. But my youngest one, he's starting to streamline a bit more. You know, he's my tank, and loves all that pasta and flour-based products, but he's been shedding some pounds and looking nice and streamlined, so that's pretty good. Also, you know, we've been in quarantine for so long. I've just taken for granted sweaty, happy kids. Like, my kids come to the car when they're done with class and they are sweating, especially at the beginning of November when it was still like pretty hot outside. There were days where it was like 80 degrees, 85 degrees. They would get in the car, their shirts were drenched, you know, all the hair was like plastered to their head. Like, Mom, we need water, we need water. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. It's like you just performed a recital on the piano and everyone's clapping. I'm like, yay to sweat, yay to being drenched, and yay to being outside getting sun. So, you know, just it just makes me think how long we've come under this quarantine. California's been under quarantine since March. With our parkour class, I love parkour. If you ever watch American Ninjas, that's kind of like parkour. All I know is just, if you got kids who like to flip and run and jump and all the other stuff that they do, check to see if there's a parkour facility in your area. You'll be amazed at how far your kid can advance. Those, you know, they could run, and then next thing you know, the first class, they're just running around, jumping around. You don't know what's going on. And then in like a month, your child is running, and then they run up the wall and jump off. Like, the first time my son did that, I'm like, no, can't do that in the house, kid. Do it outside on the fence or on the side by the garage. But, you know, they're running, and they're running off the walls like Matrix and stuff. So give parkour a look if you have a facility in your area. It's pretty cool. So I think that's it. Oh, they had a piano recital right before Thanksgiving. It was a Zoom-based recital. It was a big turnout, like 20 plus kids, and it was pretty fun. We set up the studio downstairs in our homeschool room, and 2 of the boys did piano. My middle son, he does drums, but I switched him over to piano, so he didn't have enough time to prepare anything. So, but they all, you know, supported each other, and so it was nice. It was really nice. So, November homeschool update me. Every year, let me just preface this by saying that my birthday is in December. I'm a Sagittarius toward the end of the month, and right around this time, I start, or at least a month like a month out before my birthday, I start, you know, like trying to eat better, get my look together and everything, just so for my birthday, you know, and then going into the new year, you know, I'm right. So I started in October, where I did a challenge with myself because nobody wanted to do one with me, where I had to wear everything in my closet, all my makeup, my jewelry, hair, all of that. And it's been making me feel a lot better. So when you see all these videos, I got all this fancy stuff on, well, not today, but you know, just sparkly stuff. It's because I'm wearing everything in my closet, but it's made a big difference. Something as simple as putting on a bright pink shade of lipstick is something that just made me feel better. And also because I was, you know, not eating properly while I was, you know, going through therapy and in a lot of pain. I started detoxing like 2 weeks ago. And as you can see, because everything's starting to pop out on my face, and that's helping a lot as well. And I always do that, but just doing all of that, I just feel a cleansing. So November, if I could say anything, November has been a very reflective month and a month of cleansing and detoxing. Cleansing and detoxing my body from all the medication I took in and from the foods. Also cleansing and detoxing my mindset with what school, we were in a rut, okay? And just cleansing myself from that mindset. Thanks to my kids for saying, hey mom, you know, we really like this really works, and going with that. So so that was a really good change. So all in all, I would say November started really dark. I wasn't, y'all, just being an invalid for so long, and really just letting my kids have the run of the place, but with some supervision, usually me yelling from my bedroom, what are y'all doing down there? November started down in the valley, but it ended on a high because I was able to learn a little bit more about my body through physical therapy. I was able to learn that just reading and having great discussions with my children is very fruitful for us in our homeschool. And just being grateful that I'm able to homeschool. I don't know how I would have gotten through November if I worked a 9-to-5 outside the house, or you know, something where you couldn't be your own boss. So that that really helped me put things in perspective. November ended on a nice high, but it started way down in the recesses of a public restroom at Grand Central Station in New York City. Nasty. But we were able to persevere through it. I didn't have to yell at my kids too much. They got yelled at, but not too much. And we pulled it out. So I don't know how, but we pulled it out mainly by me just saying, hey, you know what? This is just a moment that when you look at the 12-year span of your child's academic career, a couple months is nothing, right? So that is our November update, and I'll be doing these every month, and maybe as a way of just holding myself accountable or just being reflective, looking back on what I've done and seeing what my thought process was. So anyway, I'm in my office. This is where I do my consultations, and so you guys are wondering, I'm usually in my studio, but again, I'm doing things differently now. And you know, instead of always turning left, turn right. You know, instead of always wearing nude, wear pink. You know. So anyway, so that's it. That's our November update. And if you want to check out more videos like this, check out the videos on your screen somewhere around here. Let me know what you did this past November and what have you learned from that? What are your thoughts, your takeaways, and what you plan to do for December? And yeah, share it for everybody, because you never know, your one little comment that you make might help another parent. All right, guys, I love you all. Thank you so much. Mwah. Peace.